In this video today, we're going to be making this card. This card was made using my Cricut Maker, and at the end of this video, I'll show you how I actually created the project in Cricut Design Space and cut it out on my Cricut Maker. And so let's begin. Okay, for the little piece that's going to be the plate, I'm going to use some Distress Ink Dried Marigold. And I'm just going to ink up the edges. Okay, and for the frosting, I'm going to use some festive berries. And for the cake, I'm going to use some tattered rose. Okay, now I'll start to put the cake together. So I will start with the frosting. Then I'm going to line it up with the top of the eyes right here. Now I'm going to glue on the eyes, and I'm going to discover that I really need to glue on the little black piece to the back of the cake first before I glue on the eyes. And now I'll glue the little red flame pieces onto the pink outline for the tops of the candle. And now I'll put a small dab of glue at the top of each of the candles and then glue the flame to complete the candles for the cake. Okay, now we'll position our cake in the platter to be about where we want it to be. And we'll glue everything together. Okay, one thing I've noticed, the ink on the pen is bleeding a bit, so I'm going to hit a heat gun to it. And next I'll glue the cake into place. And I'm also going to take some dried marigold, and I'm going to ink the outside of this. Okay, I'm going to use some clear Wink of Stella to ink up the eyes and the red part of the flame. Okay, and to keep this pen from smearing some more, I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to spray a light coat of Kryolan Workable Fixative over it. So that will hopefully help prevent smearing of that a little more. Okay, next I'm going to put this black oval, and it's going to leave just a very, very slight outline. Okay, next we will put it onto the pink scallop. Okay, next I have some heavyweight black cardstock. I've cut it in half, and I'm going to score it down the middle at 4 1/4 inches to make an A2 size card. Okay, and then this will be glued right on the top. Okay, and here is the final card. And something that I like to do for all my cards is put a personalized made by on the back. And so since this is black cardstock, I have a couple of options. I can use a white pigment ink to stamp the stamp, or I could use some white embossing powder to do it. And in this case, I'm going to use some Hero Arts white pigment ink. And I'm going to use my stamping platform, and then I'll place my stamp in the position that I want it to be in. I'm going to use some unicorn white pigment ink and apply very light pressure. Okay, for the inside of the card, I'm going to use this happy birthday that was from the Hero Arts January 2020 kit. And I'll use my Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment ink again and my stamping platform, just like I did for the stamp on the back, and stamp in the inside sentiment. Okay, and I'll hit this white pigment ink with my heat gun for a bit, just to set it. And so here's the final card, the outside, the inside sentiment, and the Made with Love on the back. And stay tuned now for how this card was created in Cricut's Design Space and then cut out on my Cricut Maker. All right, the first thing we're doing is we're going to add a shape. It's going to be a circle. And I'm going to come up here to where the size is, and I'm going to unlock it. And I am going to make it 3.7 inches wide by 4.8 inches high. And I'm going to change its color to an orange color. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and I am going to change this to 3.8 by 4.93, and I'm going to change its color to black. I'm going to duplicate it again, and this time I'm going to change the line type to deboss, and I am going to change the size of this to 3.533 by 4.633. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to select both of these, and I'm going to align it centered horizontally, centered vertically. And so now I've put a light debossing around this. So this black line is actually going to be a debossing line. So you'll need the debossing tip on your Maker in order to do this. If you do not have the debossing tip, you can just leave the debossed line out, or you could change it to a draw and just use a pen to draw the circle around it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to attach them so that now these are attached together. And this is going to go on top of the black one so that I will have a slight black border around this particular oval right here. All right, next I'm going to come over to Images, and I'm going to search for scalloped monogram. And any of these will work. The one I used last time was this A, and so I'm going to insert that. I'm going to unlock it again, and I'm going to change this size to 4.25 by 5.5. I don't want the monogram, so I'm going to add a shape of a circle. Going to unlock it, and then I'm going to just resize it to cover up that monogram in the middle. Then I'll select them both, and I'm going to weld it. And I'm going to keep it the same color. And so this is going to be on the back, and then this is going to go on front. And so when you put them all together, I'll center it horizontally, center them vertically. This is what it's going to look like so far. And remember, this inner black line is actually a deboss line. Okay, next I'm going to add some text. And the font I'm going to use, I'm going to search for fonts, and I'm going to search for Karma. And here's the font right here. So we'll select that, and then I'll start typing my text. And so I'm going to make sure that it's set to writing, which it is, and I'm going to change the size to 2.812 width and keep the height the same. And then I'm also going to set the alignment to center. And then I'm going to put that on here, and I'm going to select my text and the oval, and I am going to, oh, it won't let me align. I wanted to try and get this as centered as possible, but I guess that's okay the way it is right there. And so this is going to be drawn, of course, the text is. And so I'm going to select my circle, and I'm going to select the text, and let me first of all draw this all away. And select those two, and I'm going to align them horizontally. And then I am going to just use my arrow keys on my keypad to move this down as far as I can without it actually going over the system. All right. Now I'm going to add another shape. I'm going to add a heart. And I'm going to change the size of that heart to 0.491. And I'm going to keep the aspect ratio. And I'm going to change this to a draw. And I'll change its color to red. I'll select the heart, and I will select holding down the control key, also the oval, and I'm going to align it centering horizontally. All right, so now that I've got all of these where I want them, I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to attach it. So this now is going to be considered to be one unit. So we can come up here now, and we can align these horizontally and vertically. And so this is what we've got so far. All right, next, the plate for the cake. I'm going to add another circle. I'm going to unlock its aspect ratio. And I'm going to make this size 3.278 by 0.356. And I will change its color to a darker orange color. And then I'm going to place it about right here. Hold down my control key and select the oval also. And then I'm going to align this center horizontally to make sure that that's in the center. Okay, and the last thing we're going to bring in is we'll go to Images. And I'm going to search on birthday cake. And I'll scroll down till I find the one that I want, which is this one right here. And so we'll insert this birthday cake. Okay, now you can use this birthday cake as is. Just size it down so that it fits in this area right here, sitting on the platter like that, and you can just cut it out as it was designed. But how I did it for this particular card, let's resize this up so that I'm going to group this just to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to hide that. I wanted to make this a little simpler because the way this is cut out, it will cut out this circle independent of this circle. It cuts out these two black eyes, and it has a complete black area in the back. And it just seemed a little too complicated to me. I wanted to try and simplify this a bit. So the first thing I did is I ungrouped this, and I pulled the different pieces apart, and I actually got rid of the black one here completely. And so I want to actually make these a little bit larger so that they're actually going to be connected together. So I'm going to add a couple of shapes. I'm going to add a circle, and I'm going to, for right now, make it as a draw so that it's just a circle here. And I'm going to resize this so that it's just a little bit bigger than the original, like this. And then I'll center it around the original. Then I will add another circle. Again, I'll change it to a draw. And then I'm going to position that over the smaller one here. Like that. And then I am going to change this to a cut, and then we'll change this one to a cut. And then I'm going to connect both of these together by holding down the control key, and then I'm going to weld them together. And then temporarily, I'm going to change it to a draw again. And I am going to got to split apart the little eyeballs, so I'm going to add another circle. Size it down. And then I'm going to put it over the one eyeball. Then I'm going to slice it. And so now I've got my two independent eyeballs. And I can go ahead and delete that. Okay, so I'm first going to add this one and put it in the little marks that were in the original. As well as I can. And I am going to hide the original eyeball here for the time being. I'm going to select these and then I'm going to slice. And so now I've got the one eyeball. I'm going to redisplay the original. And then this is the other iris, and I'm going to put that over there. Then I am going to hide the original eyeball, put these together, and I'm going to slice. And then and then here's my modified eyes right here. And I will redisplay the original eyeball again. So all of these right here I don't need. I don't need any of these anymore. So I've got my eyeball. Now for this part, these eyeballs are going to go like this. And first of all, I want to duplicate this. I need to duplicate this eyeball. And I'm going to put it on the mark here on the frosting. Select them, select both of these, and then I'm going to slice. And so we'll move all the little pieces away here. And I am going to put those here because I want to slice those out of the way. And we'll slice it again because we want to get rid of all of these little extras here. Okay, so now what we've got is our eyeball that's going to just slip right in there like that. We don't need these anymore, and we don't need that. And then we can zoom out. Now I'm going to add a square. I'm going to make it black. And I am going to size it just under here to where we would need it. And let's start positioning these things. So this is going to come over here like this. This is going to come on here like this. And so now we can remove this, and let's select both of these, and we're going to slice. So in other words, we're slicing the eyeball out of everything. And then we also need to slice out those. So I'm going to add just some small circles here. And let's put that in there, and I need to expand it so that I guess we'll do it one at a time. So let's select both of those and we'll slice. So in other words, I want to get rid of these eyeballs here. And then let's, maybe add this one, and we'll resize it. So I'm slicing out all the unwanted areas by using the slice. And you'll see why when we are finally finished. So the black square will come under here like this. The eyeball, we need to send to front. The eyeball will come on here like this. We want to change this eyeball to cut now. And we want to make sure it's white. And so the eyeball will come on top like this. And maybe what we'll do is size it just a little bit bigger so it completely hides that other area. And then the frosting, we want to right click and send to front so it's on the front, and that's going to go right there. And then this is going to go in the back. And let's group these together. And so now we have our modified cake. And as I said, you can do the cake exactly as it is when you get it in Cricut Design Space. But to me, this is simpler having these pieces rather than having to remember the little teeny tiny eyeballs and things like that. So let's bring the zoom back out. And then we want to let's see, I don't know. Let's see, we don't need that. We want to redisplay this. And then we'll resize our cake until it's the size that we want, maybe a little bit smaller. And this looks good, the way we've got this now. So we'll go to Make It. And so we'll cut out our little eyeball here with white. We will cut out this oval and our little square with black. Our plate with an orange color, our scalloped with some pink. Now this particular one with this oval, we're going to have printing on it with two different colors. We're going to print the text, and then we're going to also draw the red heart. And then we'll change our tip to the debossing tip and draw a debossing line around it. And then this one will do the base of the cake, which will be kind of a tan color. The frosting and the outline for the candles is going to be a darker pink. And then the flames will be a red. Okay, I've swapped over to using my iPad, and I've moved most of the pieces onto just a single mat. and I've lined them up to the different colors that are going to be cut out. And so I will do this one first, and so I'm going to go continue. I'm going to select my maker. Going to select medium cardstock, and then it's telling me to put in my fine point blade, and my load light is flashing. So I will go ahead and I will load the mat. And my Cricut light is flashing, and so we will start cutting. Okay, it's finished cutting these, so I will go ahead and eject the mat. And then I'll remove all these pieces and we'll be back. Okay, next we are going to do our last piece, which has the writing and the debossing on it. So it's telling me right now that I need to have my debossing tip as well as my black pen. And so I'm going to put my debossing tip in. This is tip number 21, and with the quick swap housing. And so you push the button and just put it in that way. And I'm going to change out the blade, and I will put the debossing tip in. Now the pen I'm going to use, I'm using a Cricut pen. I'm going to use the 0.8 gel tip. This is glitter black. And so I'm going to put that in the pen one. Okay, and I'll load the mat, and it's going to start by writing in the sentiment using that glitter black pen. Okay, now it's asking me to load my red tip, and the pen I'm using is a 0.8 gel tip glitter red. And so we'll put this one in. This one is going to be for the heart. And now it's going to do the debossing with the debossing tip. Okay, now it's asking me to put in my blade, the fine tip blade. Okay, now it's finished, so I will unload my mat. And I don't know how well you can see the debossing on here. Maybe if I remove the excess here and see the debossing along the edge. And so now we're ready to assemble the card.